Hello, my name is Patrick Matthews, and for my disaster management project, I chose Thailand. Now, disaster management in Thailand, in the form of an actual written plan, started with the Civil Defense Act in 1979, but this act was not up to the standards of the population and did not cover many of the needed areas in which most disaster management problems occur. This is why in 2007 a new disaster management plan was drafted to address areas that were not covered in the original act. The new plan is called the Disaster Prevention and Mitigation Act, and it was put in place in order to update the training of emergency response teams, government action during a disaster, and prevention methods to assure the safety of people in danger zones. The new Disaster Prevention and Mitigation Act has proved effective in the areas of flooding and drought, but still may have some weakness when it comes to subjects such as earthquake recovery and immigration. This is why, after the military coup in 2014, the new government began drafting another disaster management plan in order to account for refugees as well as any other fluctuations in the Thai population. The new plan is a top-down structure, which means the national government is the party that issues the disaster management protocol, and then the responsibility trickles all the way down to the local governments. At the top of the chain is the Thai Prime Minister, and he is the one who determines when disaster relief is going to be initiated and where the most affected areas are. Once these factors are determined, the Prime Minister gives the order to initiate the disaster management plan and begin the cleanup process. The smaller governments are in charge of distributing aid as well as determining the best plan of action in making sure people are safe and the dispersion of supplies. Since local governments are closer to the actual disasters, whether it be flooding, fire, drought, or earthquake damage, they are more capable of determining what needs to be done to ensure the quickest possible relief. Now, being located in the South Pacific, Thailand is prone to many disasters caused by moist, hot climates and the effects that come with that environment. This means that Thailand is most susceptible to disasters such as flooding, mudslides, and destruction from flash floods and heavy rain. There are two seasons where these disasters are exceptionally higher, and it is the monsoon season from May to October and the pre-monsoon season, which occurs from February to May. Now, the government also has a plan for man-made disasters such as terror attacks and on-the-job disasters. These instances are handled somewhat differently compared to natural disasters. In the case of man-made disasters, the Prime Minister makes the initial orders, just like in a natural disaster case, but instead of going to the local governments next, NGOs and other international organizations are contacted before. This is to ensure that in the case of terror attacks or other man-made disasters that nothing is labeled in a manner it is not supposed to, as well as providing information on any pattern that could explain who conducted the disaster and what their motives were. After the international organizations are contacted, then the local governments are free to enact the local disaster management process and begin the relief and cleanup processes. Now, Thailand is still considered a building country. This means that there is a plan in place. It is just not 100% complete, and there are holes in the disaster management process. Now, the first problem is that the disaster management system keeps changing. And since 1979, the disaster management system has changed 3 different times, and it continues to undergo changes. This means that not only are people being given new information each time the plan is amended, but the public also has to learn new safety procedures, evacuation routes, and relief schedules. The second issue with Thailand's disaster management process is that it does not account for the influx of the population due to immigration from surrounding countries. In recent years, immigration into Thailand to escape violence and other disasters has increased tremendously. This means that the original disaster management models are not accurate anymore because of the increase in people that now need to be accounted for. And finally, the issue is that Thailand's disaster management system is unorganized, and the fact that there is no practice in disaster preparedness. There is no government-sanctioned training or simulations that have to be conducted in order to assure that the population is safe from disaster. The school children are not taught to handle a flash flood or an earthquake, and there is no clearly defined lesson on how these issues should be discussed. Also, the preparedness of the population outside of the younger generations is weak. Efforts have been made recently to educate the people on how to handle disaster situations, but many of these attempts fall on deaf ears. Thailand has work to do when it comes to finishing an effective disaster management system that covers all of the disasters that could occur and the procedures following it, but it is also a country that has been shaped by natural disaster. Due to its location, the country receives heavy amounts of rain, and the disasters that they prepare for are mostly based on water disasters such as floods and tsunamis. There have been few disasters that have defined Thailand and had a great deal of influence on disaster management following the disaster. One of these disasters is the 2004 tsunami that devastated the country. The Boxing Day tsunami that hit Thailand in 2004 killed over 8,000 people and left the western coast destroyed. Thailand is a country shaped by disasters such as the Boxing Day tsunami, as well as many other natural disasters caused by the wet climate, and this is why Thailand needs to create an effective disaster management system, because in Thailand, in a region where it is located, it is not if a disaster is going to occur, but rather when it is going to occur.